For the weary and the worried, welcome to Buddhist Story Haven. If you are here tonight, you may feel anxious. You may feel tired. You may feel overwhelmed by the noise of your own mind. This world asks so much of us, sometimes too much. Tonight, you don't have to fight. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to solve anything. You are here to rest, to breathe, to soften. Let these stories wrap gently around you like a warm blanket. But before we begin, if these stories bring you comfort, please subscribe to Buddhist Story Haven and comment where you're listening from. The Monk and the Heavy Backpack. A young monk named Taro walked through the monastery garden with a large, overstuffed backpack weighing down his shoulders. He groaned with every step. His face strained. His breath quickened. An elder monk saw him struggling and approached calmly. "Taro," the elder asked, "why do you carry so much weight?" Taro sighed deeply. "These stones represent my worries, my fears, my mistakes, everything weighing on my mind." The elder nodded, then quietly unfastened the backpack and opened it. Inside were heavy stones labeled with writing: worry from last year, fear of tomorrow, shame from a mistake, anxiety from nothing really, overthinking, expectations. The elder removed one stone. "This one is from the past," he said. "Does it belong in your present?" Taro shook his head. "No." Another stone. "This one is fear of the future. Do you need to carry it today?" "No," Taro whispered. One by one, stones were removed until the bag was light. The elder placed it back on Taro's shoulders. Taro straightened. He breathed. He smiled. "It feels so light," he said. The elder smiled gently. "This is what life feels like when you put down what doesn't belong to this moment. Your anxiety feels heavy not because your life is too much, but because you are carrying unnecessary stones. Worries from the past, fear of imagined futures, self-criticism, old guilt, invisible expectations. You don't need to empty your whole life. Just remove one stone today, one worry, one old story, one false belief. Let one stone go. Feel the difference. The teacup and the racing mind. A student visited a monk, desperate for peace. "Master," he said, "my mind races day and night. I cannot find silence." The monk poured tea into a small cup. He poured and poured until the tea overflowed and spilled everywhere. "Stop!" the student shouted. "The cup is full." The monk gently set the teapot down. "Yes," he said, "and so is your mind, overflowing with fear, with noise, with thoughts that do not rest." The student lowered his head. "What do I do?" The monk smiled softly. "Empty your cup. Not all the way, just enough so peace has space to enter. Your mind doesn't need to be empty. It just needs space. A moment of breath. A walk. A minute of silence. A few seconds with your eyes closed. Make room. Just a little. Peace will enter." The lamp in the storm. A monk named Suda lived in a small hut near the edge of the forest. One night, a violent storm crashed overhead. Thunder shook the earth. Wind roared like a wild animal. Trees bent and snapped. Suda felt fear rising in his chest. He curled under his blanket trembling. Then he lit a single oil lamp. Its warm light glowed softly, flickering in the darkness. Suda focused on the lamp. Its glow, its warmth, its quiet strength. The storm raged outside, but the lamp stayed steady. Suda realized, "I cannot control the storm, but I can care for this small light." And slowly his fear softened. When the storm ended, Suda bowed to the lamp and whispered, "Thank you for reminding me that peace can exist even in the middle of chaos." When your life feels overwhelming, find your lamp. A small comfort, a tiny moment of calm, a warm drink, a deep breath, a soft blanket, gentle music, a candle, a quiet corner. You don't need to stop the storm. You just need one steady light. The cloud that forgot the sky. A monk named Rian struggled with crippling anxiety. "My emotions rise like storms," he told his teacher. "My thoughts feel too big. I feel like I am drowning." His teacher pointed upward. Dark clouds rolled across the sky. "What do you see?" the teacher asked. "A troubled sky," Rian replied. The teacher shook his head. "No, the sky is never troubled. Only the clouds are." Rian stared. He watched the clouds move, watched them change shape, watched them drift away. The teacher said softly, "Your emotions are clouds, passing, changing, temporary. You are the sky." And Rian finally understood. Your anxiety is not you. Your sadness is not you. Your fear is not you. They are clouds, passing weather. You are the sky, vast, open, unchanged. Let the clouds move. They always do. The broken jar that still held water. In a small village, there lived a jar maker named Lien. One morning, Lien dropped his favorite jar and a long crack split the side. He felt ashamed, useless, broken, but he continued using the jar to draw water each morning. And each day, on the path home, water leaked from the crack onto the dusty ground. Months passed. One morning, Lien stopped in his tracks. Along the entire path where the jar had leaked, flowers bloomed. Bright yellows, soft pinks, deep reds. His cracked jar had watered life without knowing it. Your flaws, your sensitivity, your cracks are not failures. They may be watering beautiful things you cannot see yet. Your compassion, your empathy, your gentleness, your cracks let light out. Do not hide them. The monk who fed his demons. A monk named Tamasi was haunted by fear. Every night, terrifying images filled his mind. Dark shadows, loud thoughts, old trauma. He fought the fear, resisted it, tried to force it away. But the more he resisted, the stronger it grew. One night, Tamasi had a vivid dream. A demon appeared, huge, frightening, with hollow eyes. Instead of running, Tamasi bowed. He offered the demon a cup of tea. Something shifted. The demon blinked in surprise. His body softened. His size shrank. Finally, it disappeared. Tamasi woke up with a calm heart. He realized, fear grows stronger when you fight it, and weaker when you sit with it. Anxiety intensifies when you resist it. Fear expands when you fear the fear. Sit with it. Breathe with it. Observe it. Do not feed it panic. Offer your fear a cup of tea. You may find it isn't as powerful as it felt. Lean back, breathe softly, and let the next set of stories carry you deeper into calm. The Quiet Stone. A young monk approached his teacher, breath trembling, hands shaking slightly. "Master," he said, "how do I quiet my anxious thoughts? They rise again and again. They feel endless." The teacher picked up a small stone from the riverbank and handed it to the monk. "Hold this," he said. The monk gripped the stone tightly. His hand stiffened. His arm ached. "It hurts," he said. The teacher nodded. "Yes, now drop it." The monk opened his hand and the stone fell to the ground. The teacher smiled softly. "That is how thoughts work. They only hurt when you hold them too tightly. Anxious thoughts hurt the most when you grip them, when you replay them, when you believe them, when you hold them as if they're truth. Let the thought fall. You don't need to squeeze it. You don't need to wrestle it. Drop it. Feel the relief." The man who sat with sorrow. One day, a man came to the Buddha with tears in his eyes. "My sadness feels endless," he whispered. "I do not know what to do." The Buddha did not try to fix him. He did not offer a quick solution. He did not reject the man's sadness. He simply said, "Sit with your sorrow like you would sit with a frightened child." The man placed his hand over his heart. He breathed deeply. He allowed himself to feel the sadness without judgment. For the first time, the sadness softened. Not disappeared, but softened. He realized that facing sorrow gently was less painful than running from it. You do not heal by pushing emotions away. You heal by sitting with them with compassion, patience, and kindness. Treat your pain like a frightened child. Hold it, don't fight it. Your sadness is not your enemy. The bird in the cage. A monk raised a small bird in a beautiful golden cage. Each day he fed it, cared for it, spoke to it lovingly. One morning, he left the cage door open to clean it. The bird saw the open sky, bright, wide, full of possibility. But the bird froze. It wanted to fly, yet fear held it still. The monk realized the bird's cage was not the bars, but its fear. So he sat near the cage day after day singing softly, letting the bird know it was safe. One day, the bird finally spread its wings and flew. Not because it was forced, but because it felt ready. Sometimes you stay stuck not because you can't move, but because you don't feel safe enough to try. Healing is slow. Recovery is gentle. Courage grows quietly. Give yourself time. Your wings will open when you are ready. The leaf that let go. At the top of a tall tree, a bright green leaf clung tightly to its branch. Autumn winds began to blow. Leaves around it fell one by one. But this leaf held on. "I'm afraid to fall," it whispered. "I don't know what comes next." One morning, the wind blew softly. The leaf loosened its grip just a little. It floated gently to the ground, not in fear, but in peace. It landed on soft grass and slowly returned to the soil that nurtured it. Its letting go fed the tree that once held it. Letting go is not failure. It's natural. It's freeing. It's part of the cycle of your life. Release what you can. An old fear, an old story, a heavy expectation. Letting go may nourish the next version of you. The water bucket. A monk carried water from a stream up a steep hill to the monastery. Every day he used 2 buckets, one perfect, one cracked. Water spilled from the cracked bucket the entire way. Ashamed, the cracked bucket said, "I'm sorry. You should throw me away. I am broken." The monk smiled and led the bucket to the side of the hill. Along the entire path where the bucket leaked, flowers bloomed. Bright, healthy, beautiful. "These flowers," the monk said, "only exist because of you. Your imperfections create unexpected beauty. Your softness, your sensitivity, your struggles. These are not flaws. They are the reason flowers grow in places others never see. You are not broken. You are blooming." The fish and the wave. A small fish swam anxiously in the ocean, panicked constantly. What if a big wave comes? What if I'm swept away? What if something happens? The older fish laughed softly. "You are worried about the waves," he said, "because you don't know the truth." "What truth?" the small fish asked. "You are the ocean." The little fish stopped swimming. "What? The waves are not separate from you. You are part of something far larger, far deeper, far safer than you know." The little fish took a slow, soft breath, and for the first time felt the calm of being held by something vast. You are not separate from life, not separate from love, not separate from healing. You are held by something larger. Humanity, nature, the universe, the present moment. You are not alone. You are never alone. Take a breath, set down the weight you're carrying, and let the next set of gentle Buddhist stories soothe your heart even deeper. The cup of salt. A young monk approached his teacher, distressed and overwhelmed. "Master," he said, "my suffering feels unbearable. Everything feels too big, too heavy, too much." The teacher nodded and handed him a cup of water. Then he added a full handful of salt into the cup. "Drink," the teacher said. The monk took a sip and immediately gagged. "It's horrible," he said. The teacher then guided him to the lake nearby. He threw the same handful of salt into the lake. "Now drink." The monk hesitated but sipped from the lakeshore. "It tastes like fresh water," he said softly. The teacher smiled. "The amount of salt is the same. Your suffering is the same. But your world, your mind was too small. Expand your world, and your suffering will feel smaller inside it. Your stress feels overwhelming when your world shrinks. When all you see is the problem, the fear, the sadness. Expand your world. Step outside, call someone, breathe fresh air, move your body. Read something inspiring, look at the sky. The suffering stays the same, but the space around it gets larger. And suddenly your heart can breathe." The 2 arrows. The Buddha once said, "When a person is struck by an arrow, it hurts. This is the first arrow. But when that person dwells in the thought, why did this happen to me? This is so unfair. I can't handle this. They are struck by a second arrow. He continued, the first arrow is pain. The second arrow is suffering we add on top of the pain. A monk listening asked, how do we avoid the second arrow? The Buddha replied, do not shoot it yourself. Life gives you a first arrow, a challenge, a disappointment, a hurt, a fear, a loss. But the second arrow, the overthinking, the spiraling, the self-criticism comes from the mind. You cannot always stop the first arrow, but you can learn not to fire the second. Pause. Breathe. Don't make the pain deeper than it already is. The empty boat. A monk paddled across a lake one foggy morning. Suddenly, bang! Another boat crashed hard into his. The monk felt anger surge through him. He yelled, watch where you're going. But as the fog cleared, he saw the boat was empty. It had simply drifted with the current. The monk began to laugh. All his anger vanished. He said to himself, when there is no one to blame, anger disappears. Most emotions are reactions to stories you create. Someone cuts you off? You think, they disrespected me. Someone doesn't reply? You think, they don't care. Someone looks upset? You think, I must have done something. But often the boat is empty. People are dealing with their own storms, their own life, their own pain. Don't take everything personally. It will free your heart. The wise farmer. A poor farmer owned one horse. One day the horse ran away. His neighbors said, what bad luck. The farmer shrugged. Maybe. A week later, the horse returned bringing 2 wild horses with it. The neighbors cried, what good luck. The farmer shrugged. Maybe. Later, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses and broke his leg. Such terrible luck, the neighbors said. The farmer shrugged. Maybe. Soon after, the army came through the village recruiting young men. The farmer's son was not taken. Such great luck, the neighbors said. The farmer simply smiled. Maybe. You rarely know in the moment whether something is a blessing, or a turning point, or protection, or growth. Life unfolds in ways you cannot predict. Do not rush to label events as good or bad. Just stay open. Sometimes what hurts you helps you later. Sometimes what feels like loss is a doorway. Trust the unfolding. The rope that looked like a snake. A traveler walked a lonely path at dusk. The light was dim. The air was heavy. Suddenly he saw it. A snake coiled on the road. His heart pounded. His breath stopped. His body froze in fear. He stood paralyzed for several minutes until another traveler passed by. The second traveler knelt down and lifted the snake. It was only a rope. The first traveler began to laugh with relief and embarrassment. How could I have believed such a lie? He asked. The second traveler smiled. Fear sees shadows and calls them monsters. Most of what you fear is a rope disguised as a snake. Your mind magnifies it. Your anxiety paints it darker. Your imagination fills the gaps. But reality is gentler than your fear predicts. Breathe. Look again. The monster may simply be a shadow that needs light. The bamboo that bends. During a fierce storm, trees snapped under the power of the wind, but the bamboo bowed gracefully and survived. After the storm, the bamboo stood tall and unharmed. A monk watching this said, strength is not rigidity. Strength is the ability to bend. Resilience is not being unbreakable. It's being flexible. It's adapting. It's flowing. It's knowing that you can bend without losing yourself. You don't need to be hard to survive life storms. You just need to stay soft where it matters. Settle and breathe softly, and let the final stories carry you into calm, into clarity, into the quiet peace within. The Monk and the Shattered Bowl. A young monk named Kaito owned a simple clay bowl. It was small, unremarkable, but he cherished it deeply. One morning, while cleaning his quarters, the bowl slipped from his hands and shattered on the stone floor. Kaito froze. His heart tightened. His breath caught. He felt grief, not for the bowl, but for what the breaking represented. Loss, change, impermanence. He gathered the pieces and brought them to his teacher. Master, I feel loss over something so small. Why does my heart hurt? The master smiled softly and said, Kaido, the moment you first held the bowl, it was already broken. Kaido blinked. I don't understand. The master continued, everything you love is already changing. Everything you touch is temporary. Everything you cherish will one day become something else. He paused, then said gently, when you understand impermanence, your grief becomes gratitude. Instead of mourning the loss, you cherish the time you had. Kaido held the broken pieces, but his heart felt lighter. Not because the bowl was restored, but because he was. Your anxiety often grows from trying to hold life still. But nothing stays the same. Relationships shift, people change as circumstances evolve. Objects break, opportunities move. Your own heart grows. Impermanence is not punishment. It is the gentle flow of life itself. When something ends, ask not, why is it gone? But rather, how lucky I was to have it at all. The jar of fireflies. A little boy named Soren spent every summer night catching fireflies. One evening, he captured dozens and placed them in a jar with a tight lid. He wanted to keep their soft light forever. But by morning the fireflies grew weak. Some stopped glowing. The boy ran to his grandfather, upset. Why are they fading? He asked. I wanted to keep their light. The grandfather opened the jar and let the fireflies float freely into the night air. They glowed brighter immediately. He said, Soren, light cannot shine when trapped. The boy whispered, so I have to let things go to keep them beautiful? The grandfather nodded. Yes, love needs space. Light needs freedom. Even joy must be allowed to breathe. Sometimes your anxiety comes from holding too tightly. To people, to outcomes, to how things should be, to expectations, to your own perfectionism. But the tighter you hold, the dimmer things get. Loosen your grip. Let life breathe. Give space for beauty to return. The sound of the temple bell. A monk named Haru struggled with constant buzzing thoughts. He meditated daily, but his mind felt noisy, full of worry, fear, questions, and self-doubt. One evening, the temple bell rang. Its sound deep, smooth, vibrating through the air, cut through all of Haru's thoughts. For a moment, everything fell silent inside him. The elder monk approached and said, Haru, do you know why the bell makes your mind quiet? Haru shook his head. The elder replied, because the bell reminds your mind that there is something bigger and more spacious than your thoughts. Haru closed his eyes and listened again, feeling the sound expand inside him like an open sky. Your thoughts feel overwhelming only when your world shrinks to the size of your mind. But one sound, one breath, one moment of awareness can remind you of how much bigger your inner world truly is. You are not trapped inside your thoughts. You are the space that holds them. The two wolves of the heart. An elder monk told his student a story. Inside every heart, he said, there are two wolves. One is fear, anxiety, self-doubt, worry, sadness. The other is peace, calm, patience, clarity, compassion. The student asked, which wolf wins? The elder replied, the one you feed. The student frowned. How do I feed peace? The monk answered, with breath, with presence, with kindness, with forgiving yourself again and again. You were not born anxious. You were not born stressed. You were not born unworthy. Those are wolves fed by fear. But the wolf of peace still lives inside you, patiently waiting to be nourished. Feed it with softness. Feed it with rest. Feed it with gentleness. Feed it with the simple choice to breathe. The quiet room within. In a bustling monastery, a young monk felt overwhelmed by noise. Bells, voices, tasks, expectations, his own racing thoughts. He approached the abbot. Master, he said, this place is too loud. I cannot find peace. The abbot smiled and placed a hand over the monk's heart. Peace is not the absence of noise, he said. Peace is the quiet room within yourself. He guided the monk to sit in meditation. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Feel your heart. Enter the quiet room where the noise cannot follow. The monk breathed slowly. He felt his chest soften. He felt his mind loosen. He stepped into the room within himself, a space of stillness that had always been there. When he opened his eyes, the outer world was unchanged, but he was. Your peace does not live in perfect circumstances. Not in a silent home. Not in a clean room. Not in solved problems. Your peace lives inside you. In a quiet room you can visit anytime you breathe with intention. Close your eyes. Step inside. You can always return here. Crescent Moon final outro. For your heart, your mind, and your path. Dear one, you have reached the end of gentle Buddhist stories for anxious hearts and tired minds. Take a moment to acknowledge yourself for being here, for choosing healing, for choosing calm, for choosing softness in a world that often demands hardness. If these stories brought comfort to your heart, if they quieted your mind even for a moment, I invite you to subscribe to Buddhist Story Haven and comment where you're listening from. Your presence helps this peaceful sanctuary reach others whose hearts feel heavy too. Remember, you are not your anxiety. You are not your fear. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are the sky, vast, open, enduring, and the clouds will always pass. May you be safe. May you be calm. May you be free from suffering. May you rest deeply tonight. Thank you for listening.